That we're going to give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers so they can do their job.
Now they mad at Donald Trump for saying he's gonna give police federal immunity. But I guarantee you, I put my life on it, that 99.9% of people that are watching this video, that watch that video, don't even know what immunity is. Video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, Donald Trump is under fire, especially from, I want to call it the S word. I'm trying to be a good Christian, but I really think that Cardi B has no room to say nothing about nobody. She's literally dressed like a, you know what, there should be very minimal respect for her. And yeah, she said some stuff about Donald Trump in the past that seemed to be favorable to Donald Trump, but she's still who she is. Look how ghetto, crazy, and ridiculous she is. She's just ridiculous. But anyway, this is going viral on the internet. Everybody's losing their mind because this one woman, Sonya Massie, threw boiling hot water at police officers and got shot. Because she was mentally ill, people think that you could just do whatever you want to do and not get shot by the police. Whatever. You can believe what you want to believe. I think that if we go down to the very basics, if she hadn't thrown the boiling hot water, she would have never got shot. No matter how bad the cop is, how trashy he was, how silly he was, how insensitive he was, if the pot wouldn't have been hurled in his direction, he would have never had the opportunity. He would have never taken advantage of the opportunity. He would have never shot the woman. But there's no here, no there. All cops are evil, crazy ones. Donald Trump comes out and says he's going to give police officers federal immunity. Now, I don't know if he goes on to explain what federal immunity is. I almost put my life on it that he didn't. And people are outraged, especially the people of the melanin, that they literally watch black people kill each other every single day. They rap about it, they sing about it, they glorify it. But then when Donald Trump says immunity, they get all in open arms and then try to associate Sonya Massie with federal immunity. So let me play what Donald Trump said, and then I'm going to explain to you so you have weapons in your arsenal when it comes to somebody talking about qualified immunity for police officers. Let me explain it to you. If that man is found guilty of what happened to Sonya Massie, he is going to go to prison, and there's no such thing as qualified immunity in that situation. But anyway, let me play the clip, and then we're going to get to the brass tacks of this. Roll the clip, very short clip, 8 seconds.
Give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers so they can do their job.
So what does it mean when he say federal immunity? I'm thinking he's going to the subject of qualified immunity. Now, qualified immunity is given to government officials, not just police officers. But for some reason on planet Earth, people only care about police officers. When medical malpractice kills about 200 to 400,000 people a year, and the reason it's a gap because some of it is ambiguous, but at least it's at minimum 200,000 people a year die for medical malpractice. At the higher end, it could be 400,000 people. It will take police officers 100 years to meet 1 year of medical malpractice. But for some reason, qualified immunity and police are getting off for doing it. It's insane to me. You can go look it up and Google it. Just put in the Google search qualified immunity. If you do it on Chrome, you'll get the definition that I get. Let me read this to you, what qualified immunity is, and then we can explain what it is and what it's not. Qualified immunity is a legal principle that protects government officials, which not only just police officers, from lawsuits for damage when performing discretionary functions unless the plaintiff can prove that the officer violated their rights. The Supreme Court created the doctrine in 1967 and in 2023, expanding it to what it is currently. Clearly established. That's one element that needs to be defined. Here it reads, the law was clear enough at the time of the official's action that a reasonable official would have understood that they were unconstitutional. So that means that at the time that the action took place, that it was clearly established within the law that that action by the court was deemed unconstitutional. Let me give you an example of what this looks like. Back when I was a police officer in 2011, they had not ruled in the court that if you smell the odor of marijuana, burning marijuana, that you couldn't enter somebody's house. So what we would do is we'll go to a house party and we'll smell the odor of burning marijuana, and therefore we know that there's marijuana present. If somebody opens the door, you put your foot in the door, you block the door. Therefore, you have access to the person's house. You already have access to the house because of the burning marijuana, but you can prevent them from shutting the door and locking it on you. So people put their foot in the door and block the door, and I'm able to get in your house now. It was not against the law. It was not a constitutional violation to the Fourth Amendment. A cop did it. Somebody sued. It went to the court, and they ruled that you can no longer wedge your foot in the door in an instant like that, and that just the smell of burning marijuana is not sufficient to have an exigent entry into somebody's house. And so therefore, if a person did it and the person sued them, that they have qualified immunity. That means that if it wasn't established within the law very clearly, they can't hold that officer accountable civilly, which means that the person can still sue the police department. The police officer can still get fired, but they can't go after the cop civilly because it wasn't clearly established. There's a whole bunch of other things that I can go through that's this. The objective test would be that the official knew or should have known that their actions violated the plaintiff's constitutional rights. So therefore, if a police officer is getting ready to enter in somebody's home and they know it's against the law to put your foot in the door and they do it anyway, there's no qualified immunity for you. You knowingly and intentionally did something that was established in the court as a constitutional violation. Let's give another scenario. A person running from you and you tase them while they're running. They seize up, they hit their face on the ground. It may cause death to that person. The police officer is trained that you can shoot a person while they're running like that. The court has not ruled that that's unconstitutional in any form or fashion, or even that that's criminal. Let's say the person hit the ground, bang his head, the family sues, and end up in the Supreme Court that it was ruled that that's unjustified, and an unjustified use of force to tase somebody while they're running because of the risk of them hitting their head and dying. The cop still can be fired. The cop still can get in trouble in the criminal law for what he did, but you can't come back and sue him for something that wasn't established in the courts. I think you get it. Qualified immunity is similar to sovereign immunity, and it protects government employees instead of the government itself. It constitutes favorable to the state and local governments and can protect them from paying money damages for actions that aren't yet considered unconstitutional by the courts. And then when you go and look this up online, people bring up all these other cases of how a cop shot somebody and killed somebody and sicked the dog on a person. And it does not prevent you from going to prison if you committed a crime. And what Donald Trump is saying in the qualified immunity situation, or federal qualified immunity, because what they're doing to people is that a cop is justified. Let's use Michael Brown, for instance. A cop is justified in using deadly force against Michael Brown. It was proven by the DOJ, all of the above. The police department paid out a wrongful death suit for millions of dollars to the family. The family could also go after the police officer in civil court for civil rights violations, and they could end up bankrolling the police officer, even though the police officer was justified in the deadly use of force. And this is what Donald Trump is alluding to. I don't know if he articulates it very well, but this is what he's alluding to, is that federal immunity says that if a cop does his job, does not violate somebody's constitutional right, it doesn't matter if what he did was wrong, as long as it was, it wasn't established that it was wrong at the time that he did it. There's certain laws that are in place that it's called a fleeing felon law. So if a person committed a felonious crime and is fleeing from police, a police could actually shoot them in the back in certain states. In some states, they've outlawed it. So therefore, if you're in a state that has the law on the books that you can shoot a person in the back that's fleeing, that's a felon of a violent crime against a person, or you can shoot them in the back in fear of them going and hurting another person, which you're protecting another person by utilizing deadly force. If it's legal in your state and the cop does that and the family sues and the cop is in trouble, they can't sue the cop because it's not established in that state. That's all it is. The same qualifications are for judges, people in Congress. I mean, everybody in the government, not everybody, but many people in the government have these qualified immunity exceptions. And for some reason, the left want to act like somehow if Sonya Massie's cop gets convicted, he's innocent. That's not how that works. If somehow the court deems that a boiling hot water is not a deadly weapon, which it is, and it's also established in the state of Illinois that it is, if somehow the courts change that, after this case, because of this case, they can't hold him accountable civilly because it was not established that boiling hot water was not considered a deadly weapon at the time that this incident happened. I feel like I had to throw this out here because Cardi B and all these other people take what Trump say out of context, or they don't do no research whatsoever. And they're running around saying, see, he's trying to protect people that killed Sonya Massie. Why? Why would he do that? Why would he need to do that? Nobody support that police officer. Nobody. Nobody think he did the right thing. Nobody does. Nobody thinks that his decorum and his behavior was legitimized. The only difference is he justified in using deadly force against a woman throwing boiling hot water? And I say, yes, you're justified in using deadly force. That's what the law says, not Brandon Tatum. Now, your emotion may say something different, but nobody's supporting that officer. I don't think he should be a police officer. I don't think he exudes the amount of professionalism and integrity that a police officer that I consider to be a good police officer does. I don't think he exudes that. But that doesn't mean that when a woman throw a pot of boiling water at him and he can't use deadly force against her. These are two separate arguments. You don't have to like the guy. You can think he's a dirtbag. But that's different between lawful justification of self-defense. I wish people would get that through their head and they won't be so emotional all the time. Just kill that woman in cold blood. I put my life on it that Cardi B probably still thinks that woman was shot on her knees with her hands up. I could put it on my life that Cardi B thinks that. I put it on my life that most people in America that heard about Sonya Massie's tragic death will still say today that she put her hands up and the cop walked over and just shot her. It's completely a lie. Anyway, I'll prove it in another video. I'm about to make a video in a minute proving exactly what I'm saying. However, I just wanted to qualify and clarify this qualified immunity argument. It's not somehow going to get a cop off if a cop is committing crimes and killing people and doing stuff that they know is wrong. And just because you don't know the law don't mean that it's not established in the law. It's one thing that people got to understand. Because you're not looking at your legal updates don't mean that if they deem that it's established in the law, you should reasonably understand that you're held accountable. No qualified immunity. Anyway, I'll see y'all the next one. Share this with your friends. I'm out.